So as Queen in Black continues, Beta Ray Bill just might have like my favorite through line story so far at this point, just based on where everything has placed him and what he's already been through prior to this. And you'll see what I mean as we get into this. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell to get all notifications. So like we saw in Queen in Black issue 1, when Hela began her invasion of Earth, it wasn't long before Cable popped up to help out a little bit, but really just let them know that he's taking Flash, to put him on a team of defenders that Tony Stark has put together. Because prior to this, back at Avengers Mansion, after Tony met up with all the heroes and Captain Alliance, Tony told Cable about his plans to send teams out and take the fight to both Hela and Knull. And now what's crazy is how, at the time, with Tony explaining this to Cable and telling Cable that he's on one of the teams, Tony goes on like, well, he did the numbers and these groups of heroes make the most sense. But when Cable tells him that you can't just rely on numbers alone, Tony tells him like, hey, I'm not just relying on the stats, but I've talked to the experts and they agree. And now when Tony says experts, he's referring to the quote-unquote symbiote club, so Flash, Venom, and the others. And then he goes on to say the Norse god cosplayer. And that's where Cable's like, wait a sec, I know you ain't talking about the schizo parasites from space and Mr. Ed with the god complex, which is wildly disrespectful to the symbiote heroes, and especially for Beta Ray Bill. And this is mainly because Beta Ray Bill is one of the few people who still have the real memories of Asgard and Thor. And now I'm not saying that that makes what Cable's saying here okay by any stretch, as well as Tony, because he's talking reckless too. But I will say sometimes you gotta wipe some memories to find out who people really are, so you know how they really feel about you. But just based on Beta Ray Bill and the symbiote squad having a depth of prior knowledge on both Knull and Hela, at best these groups will help them stop the invasion, or at the least buy time for the Avengers and the Fantastic Four to figure out things on Earth. And Tony admits this isn't the perfect plan, but they've got to use every bit of leverage they can muster, and it's not like they have the time to be looking around for other options. So Cable agrees and he lets Tony know that he'll body slide to grab everyone he needs, but even still they need to drop a plan B in case all of this doesn't work out. But in the here and now, Tony goes on to show Cable the two teams that he's put together, with Team Dark who will go after Knull and Team Light who will go after Hela, with the two of them being on Team Dark along with Agent Anti-Venom, Darkstar, and Cloak. And then for Team Light, that's led by Beta Ray Bill, because of his power set and his prior knowledge of Hela, he's accompanied by Photon, Sunfire, and Dagger. And now as Beta Ray Bill's Team Light heads to Hela's ship, Beta Ray Bill makes sure to let his ship Scuttlebutt know that it should keep a safe distance, and that it's not to engage, because if anything were to go wrong, or better yet should they fail their mission, Beta Ray Bill wants Scott to head back and warn the others. So with leading this team, Bill is spearheading this mission like, y'all, this is serious. Either we succeed or nobody goes home. Which sounds like the experienced Corbinite champion that he is, who's lost so much. And when they get here, they go on to fight through Hela's defenses. But throughout much of this, we're given some commentary as far as what Dagger's thinking. Because heading out here and even now fighting alongside her team, Team Light, she feels like she's way in over her head. Because she's dealt with haunted dimensions, rampaging monsters, and even vampire hordes. But to her, these space missions, it's a whole nother ballgame. In addition to fighting alongside people like Beta Ray Bill, Monica Rambeau, and Sunfire. And it's not done in a way to belittle her light force powers, but instead it's like she's rolling with some heavy hitters on the front lines of the biggest fight she's ever faced. And you know, to me, I kinda have a sneaking suspicion, just based on the way that both Cloak and Dagger are being treated throughout this, we could be looking at a setup for the two of them to get crazy upgrades from Knull and Hela when this is all over. But even now with this just getting started, it's moments like this where Dagger's saying what she's saying that had me feeling like, oh, yeah, that kind of sounds like a misdirect. Like, oh, I was so overwhelmed in the beginning, I thought all hope was lost. But who knew this was a setup for me to get a ridiculous upgrade? Like, I'm just waiting for that moment. And I mean, it could be that or the extreme opposite. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And now for Team Dark, Tony had Cloak void port them all out to Knull, with the idea of, with Knull now being a god of light, they could perhaps catch him off guard using this approach. And if by chance that didn't help and there's still a fight when they got there, Tony's like, well, I'm ready to try out this Knull Buster armor. That looks really sick, but at the same time, it kind of makes me a little sad when I think of some of the Marvel games that could have used it, that are no longer with us. But at this time in practice, Tony's plan of surprising Knull, it's not actually a surprise to Knull, and Knull tells them why. Because with the totality of the light spectrum belonging to him now, even though the heroes used a void port to get here, their method of travel caused the light around them to behave abnormally, which immediately gave them away. So when they get here, Knull's got all his seraphims ready, just lined up waiting to attack. And I gotta say, when Knull gives the signal here and he just points at them like, slaughter these fools. If it were me in his position with this new power, every time I'd attack, I'd be like, all of the lights, and just have the beat drop, like that's the battle cry. And be like, yep, yeah, y'all gonna get tired of me. And now when it gets started, Cable's like, hey, you know the drill, put out these lights. And now Tony tells Cloak like, hey, you heard Sergeant Schwarzenegger, Ty. Time to get to work, just like planned. Big guns up front, you on our 6. But Cloak, he wants to fight as well, so he tells Tony, I can fight. Just before Tony prevents Ty from getting beamed. And Tony's just like, I know you can fight, but plan B's DOA if we lose you. So just keep playing safety for now, and watch out for stragglers. And as Tony charges in, Ty's like, football's not my thing. I'm a point guard, not a D-back. Besides, there's nothing safe about this place. And he ain't lying. But for a moment when we go back over to the Light team and their attack on Hela, she's kind of offended because this team is so small. But to Tyr, when he sees Beta Ray Bill out there, he's like, perhaps one of these guys are worth a bit of special attention. So right away he asks for Hela's permission to join the fight. So she grants it, and right away Tyr, when he jumps in, he's asking Beta Ray Bill why he's fighting against him and Hela, with them being of the last few people left who still remember Asgard. And now, of course, with this conversation going, you got Monica Rambeau and Dagger over here like, what's Asgard? And Monica's like, girl, I don't know. But at the same time, with Tyr taking offense to Beta Ray Bill fighting against them as someone who still remembers Asgard, Beta Ray Bill takes offense to Tyr even mentioning it. And Bill lets him know that he's fighting against Tyr and Hela for Asgard's true honor, for her true majesty, which really and truly that's the right answer. It's the answer a hero would give. But at the same time, you really can't tell Tyr that he's not doing something heroic here as well, because in response, when he tells Bill that he's fighting for Asgard's return, Tyr believes what he's sacrificing by working for Hela. Again, that this dark campaign is just the beginning of bringing Asgard back. So Tyr offers Bill the opportunity to join them. And he tells Bill when this is done, the people will love him for his deeds and not those of another, which causes Bill to freeze for a moment when Tyr's head home. And now even though Monica steps in here like, wait a minute, I know you ain't trying to get Bill to switch sides. When she knocks Tyr back, this gives her a brief opportunity to talk to Bill and learn more about what's going on here. Because for a moment, Bill hesitated. He froze. And when he takes a moment here to explain to Monica who Tyr is, with him being the god of war, and how he's now Hela's general, with Hela being the goddess of death, who's now the queen in black. He then tells her about Asgard, his adopted home that was lost to memory through the darkest of magics, much like the dark magics that must be stopped today, no matter his own desires. And I like the fact that he hesitated here, because now when he explains this to Monica, it kind of reminds Bill at the same time what he's fighting for, and also what he's fighting against. Because for Beta Ray Bill, once again, he's in a place where he lost his previous home, and he's trying to protect this one. Because after losing Corbin to Surtur, and new Corbin to Galactus, to then later lose Asgard, and now face the possibility of losing this whole universe, for just a moment we see how Bill just wants to go back to something familiar. But he's able to pull himself together here quickly, and apologize to Monica like, my bad, Tyr asked me to switch sides and the offer was tempting. But just after that, he's right back in the fight. And I gotta say, man, to me, I'm liking the focus on Beta Ray Bill, because there's definitely been times where he's felt uncertain about things like his appearance, for example, which he took on when he became the champion for his people, the Corbinites. But after losing so much, at one point he was like, man, was it worth it? So yeah, I'm just digging the whole position of where Beta Ray Bill is right now, with it testing his integrity and his identity at the same time. And now following this, when we go back to Team Dark and their fight against Knull, like Cloak said earlier, there's nothing safe out here. So when Knull cranks things up with his light dragons, Cloak is just like, bump this, I'm getting involved. Because it's getting to the point where these guys are just being overwhelmed. So that's where Tony goes off, because he told Cloak to hang back. But again, for Cloak, he saw that this was way too much for them, so he stepped in. So he tells Tony like, yeah, you did tell me to hang back, but I didn't. And Cable agrees with Cloak, because they're not doing enough damage, and they probably should start considering that contingency plan ASAP. And right away, both Darkstar and Agent Anti-Venom agree, because even now Flash is like, yeah, plan B sounding pretty good. But Tony just shuts it down. He's like, no, we're not there yet. And even now with Ty trying to tell Tony that he's ready, he can do it. Once again, Tony shuts it down, and he's like, the reward is not worth the risk. Not yet. And you can just see how this is the worst time and place to be arguing about anything. And Knull calls them on it. And at one point, he's like, it's a wonder you haven't annihilated yourselves and each other before now. And then he's like, well, that's what I'm here for. My children have had their fun with you, but the hour of your planet's destruction is at hand. But not until I first end all of you. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, he's gone. Just before he reappears and impales Cloak, taking him by surprise. And it has Cloak like, how did you? The light, how? And that's where Knull tells him not just light, all light. And now with as crazy as this looks, with Ty being impaled and calling out to Dagger, and at the same time she's over with Team Light calling back out to him, I still believe these two could play a significant role when this is all said and done, or at the least inherit Knull and Hela's powers at the end. But we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think. Because I mean, if Ewing and Waltz don't take that direction, it'll kind of be a missed opportunity. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. All right, later.